Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, joining me today is my co-host, Angela Andrieux. Hello, Angela.
Hey everyone, how's it going today? Happy Friday and welcome to Luminar Coffee Break. So today you have Vanelli and I for our weekly wrap-up. We'll be talking about the images we processed with you earlier in the week and answering any questions you have that you might have thought of since then, and to see you off into the weekend. What do you have for us today, Vanelli?
That's awesome. Well, you know what, Angela? How about we do this? I'm looking
Yeah.
at your screen. Oh, there we go. All right, Angela. You know what? How about we do this? Because I saw what you have up next, how about if I have you go first, and then I'll get
right.
my stuff ready to show what we have.
Sounds good.
All
All
right, here we go. I
right.
have your screen up.
Perfect. So earlier this week, we talked about food photography, and whether you're a professional product photographer, commercial photographer, or whether you're snapping a picture of your lunch to share with your friends on Instagram, there's a couple of things that you want to pay attention to. The first one is when you're capturing the image, you want to make sure it's very well lit. You want to have good, even lighting, nothing too harsh. If you're sitting near a window and getting some natural light, that is really, really impeccable. So this is an image captured by one of our educators, Nicole Young, and she's a fabulous food photographer. So let me show you her original here. Go ahead and click on the before, and you'll see that it's nicely lit. It just needed a little bit of love, a little boost to really make all of those flavors come out and make your mouth water as you look at the picture. So you see we've got this nice glistening cheese, we've got this beer here in the background. Everything just looks good enough to reach off of the screen and eat. And that's exactly what you want with a food photo. So what I did was I started out here in templates, and I went to the for this photo section, and I went over here to influencer, and I found that evening glow looked really, really good on this image. So let me show you what that looked like. I'm going to go over to my edit tab and just pop back here in the history. You can see that that already made a nice change to the image. So let me turn that back off and back on again. It just lightened the shadows a little bit. Now I do notice that it added some grain, and that was part of our creative tools over here. So I went to the film grain and I just turned that off. I don't really think it adds anything to the image. Um, it's really up to you if you like to keep the grain or not. It's not my favorite. So that's why I went here and reset the grain tool. And then I went to the Enhance AI, worked a little bit with my tones, brought up the shadows a little bit, added a little contrast, a little pop of color. We worked through our structure and just added a touch more detail. And you'll find all these tools over here in our Essentials collection. So here's the Enhance AI, here's the structure. What I also did to really add a nice finishing touch to this was I went over to the creative tools and I worked with Mystical. Mystical adds this really, really lovely glow, and you can finesse it a little bit so it's not too glowy, and it actually just kind of warms up the light around your subject. So let me go ahead and go back here to my Mystical tool. Let me turn that off for you, and then turn that back on, and you can see that it just kind of warmed up the light. It kind of softened a little bit of the edges, but not too much. If you think it's too smooth, you can always pull back on the smoothness. And then one of the things I love is this colorized section here at the bottom. You can warm up that glow, and it just warms up that extra bit of glow. It doesn't warm up the entire image. It just warms up that light. So by using that warm slider, you can really add a nice touch to an image and add richness to a food photo. So once again, there's the before and there's the after. So I hope that looks good enough to you to reach off the page and eat. I know it makes me hungry to look at it. What do you think, Vanelli?
Thank you. I didn't have lunch yet, but yes, that looks really good. And you know our schedule. What's our schedule's been like for the last few weeks? That's awesome. And I like how, like you said, test out the templates, but there may be something in that template that you don't like. In this case, the grain for that particular image, and you just change it. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Now, let me jump in here. All right. So the first one I had was how to deal with or how to quickly align or fix crooked photos. All right. Here's the image itself, but here, let's get to the edit. And let's see if I can do the original. One moment. Up, it's thinking. Oh, okay. All right, good. So now I have it set. So if I come down to the history tool, these are all the stuff I applied to it. Here's the original image. Look how crooked it is. The perspective distortion is way off. And then here we are with applying the effects to it. There we go. Before and after. Let's see if I can step back. Yeah, I hit revert. Here we go. So the first thing I did, and again, it's entirely up to you. You can do the edits ahead of time. I'm just doing just a real quick one. You can do the edits ahead of time, and then come to the composition AI, and right from here, I'm going to click to fix the perspective distortion, and it's done. Now, I could go back in, remove, any of these defects, lens, dust bunnies and stuff. But I mean, look how cool that was. All right, and then you just click on it to apply it, or to apply what it thinks a good crop would be. I'm going to expand it a little bit, right about there. And there we have it. So that was to fix the perspective. Now, we come over here, same concept. I can just jump right over to the edit. And with edit, boom, one click, and it fixes it. Now, where this is going to come in handy, where I can foresee, is this right here. Imagine taking 20 or 30 of these images, and the horizon line is crooked. Now, if you create your own template, from here, you can just click on your template, and then, boom, it's automatically fixed. So here it is. Look, there it is already fixed. Or what you can do is apply it to one image. There we go. There, apply it to one image, right click, adjustments, copy the adjustments, and then if you had 30 or 40 of these images, click the first one, and then let's say the last one, I'm holding down the shift key, right click, and adjustments, paste adjustments, and then all of those images are going to be aligned properly. So that was a real quick way, Angela, on how we can align images fast. How's that?
I have to say that's probably one of my favorite new tools in Luminar AI. In the past with Luminar 4, we had all these sliders where you could fix perspective, but it was a very manual process and took a lot of kind of trial and error to get it right. And I never quite seemed to get it right. With this, all you do is click a button and it's done for you. And it's so nice.
Exactly. All right. What do you have for us on your next one?
All right.
Oh, and by the way, yeah, before we go into that, what's happening December 10th?
December 10th, we have Luminar Live. So at 10 a.m. Eastern, we're going to have a live presentation. Our CEO is going to be there, Rich Harrington, and a whole bunch of our ambassadors are going to be sharing some of their inspiration, how they edit. They're going to be talking about different techniques, talking about AI technology. So we hope you'll join us on December 10. It's bound to be an awesome event. We're going to cram a lot of information into about an hour and a half. So it won't take up your whole day, but there's a ton of good stuff. So we hope you'll be there.
Awesome. And what I have on the screen right now is actually the event schedule. And the link to it is skylum.com/Luminar-live. And then once you get there, you can just register right here.
Yep.
So, all right, Angela, let's share your screen.
All right. So this photo, gorgeous photo from one of our ambassadors. And it's this beautiful, beautiful, I'm going to guess, sunrise or sunset. We have these gorgeous colors. Now, the thing is when you go through and you edit a picture like this, it's easy to go overboard. And then the colors become what people see when they look at the picture, not your subject. You want your colors to complement your subject. You don't want the color to be the subject. Well, typically. Sometimes you might. But in general, if your color is detracting your attention away from the point and the story of your photo, you might have gone too far. So within this image, I showed you how to back it off a little bit. And what we did was we applied a template that made it a little bit stronger than we'd like. So let me go here to my history and just pop back. So here's the original. And it's a nice soft image and it's raw. So we have to bring out some of that detail, some of that color. So I applied the Fast Fix template, which was one of the ones in the scenery collection. And it did a lot of really great things. It added a lot of structure and detail and contrast, especially here on the village, but I kind of feel like it went too far with the color. So what we did was we went over into, let's see here, let me see the best way to do this. I'm gonna go back to my history, go back up to the top, and I'll just kind of walk through some of the highlights here. So the first place we started was in the color panel. And initially I skip over the saturation and vibrance and specifically targeted certain colors. So we had a lot of, if we look at what came straight out of the template, those magentas and blues up here in the sky were just a little bit over the top. So with HSL, we can manipulate the hue, saturation, and luminance of each individual color to pull those back a little bit. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to pull back on some of those magentas and blues, but I really love all of the little red buildings here in the foreground, and I didn't want to lose that so much. I just kind of wanted to target what was going on up here and a little bit of the reflections on the lake. From there, we went and, let's see here, what else did we do? We used our light tool to work a little bit with our, what did we do? I think we pulled, I remember now. It helps if I look at my notes. We pulled down the temperature a little bit. So it's a cold winter day, and winter light is usually kind of has a blue, cool tone to it. So I pulled the temperature a little bit to the left, and then overall that looked really good with the snow, but I wanted to warm up the light because we're still getting a little bit of this kiss of daylight. So I went down to my landscape tool and added a bit of golden hour, and you can see that just added a little bit of warmth to the image, but it didn't take away from that cool feeling that we have for being in a wintry location. And then as we walked through our demo earlier this week, actually you guys suggested a few things that had me take it farther and how to really accentuate our subject, which really is this village down here. And that's when we added this vignette. So I can turn that off and turn it back on again. You can see it just subtly directs your attention down to that village. So I really love how this image worked out, and I love the feedback that y'all gave me earlier this week. It was a lot of fun, and keep it up. Like if you see something that we edit that you think could be done a different way, bring it up, because we all see the world so differently. And color is no exception. So some people like really bright, vibrant. Some people like it more toned down. So it's always good to know how to adjust it to your taste.
Well, hey, that was great. And I like how you do the selective adjusting on that. Awesome.
Yes.
Now, if you're just joining us, please, if you like the stuff that we're doing, please make sure you click the thumbs up. Our producers get excited when they see those thumbs.
Yes.
Okay, Julie's asking when they're recording it. Julie, I think Julie is probably talking about Luminar Live.
Perhaps. So Luminar Live, we have pre-recorded a few segments of those. Just due to COVID, we can't all gather in one place. But there are going to be actual live segments that day, and it's all going to be happening on December 10.
Yep. All right. So now, Angela, what I'm going to show you here. Do you remember I told you I called you right after that last episode on YouTube that I totally bombed because I didn't update my in Photoshop, I didn't update my Photoshop drivers properly, so it screwed everything up. Thankfully, I did that, and I'm going to show you what I have here. Well, out of that, I realized, oh wow, I can come up and make this even better. So I did. I came up with a really cool way to make this look even better. All right, so here is one of a gallery. Now, the one I think I showed you before was a white one. This one here, I turned it to black with a little gray border around it. Now, the cool thing about this is we're going to use Photoshop to create the gallery itself, which I just did. This is a 16 by 20 print. On the inside, I left this identical to what comes out of most DSLR cameras. That's a 3:2 ratio. So a 3:2 ratio, which is something like 8 by 12 or 12 by 8. Well, now if I double click, and I made this a smart object, I double click on it, and look, it opens it up into its own container. So that's what a smart object is basically just a container inside Photoshop. But by using Luminar as a smart filter, I'll go back to it here. After I created this as a smart object, I came over here, and when I ran the filter, it automatically made Luminar AI a smart filter, which means any changes I make will automatically be editable. So they're non-destructive changes. So here's what I did inside Luminar. Now watch this. This is where it's so cool. If I right click on this, and I'm going to click on replace content, I'm going to choose a different image and click place. Now when I do that, what's going to happen is Photoshop is going to bring that image in. So it's taking time, it's bringing it in. Once it brings it in, it automatically launches Luminar for me. So now Luminar is being launched, and here's the best part. It's going to automatically apply that same identical treatment or that look or template to this image. So it applies it to it, saves it, then it exports it out back into Photoshop for me. So the whole purpose of this is if you want consistency, or if you want to just build a real quick template and you like a certain look, a black and white look, you got it right here. So now it brings it in. There it is. Control or Command S. I saved it. Now that I save it, watch this. If I go back to the main one, boom, it's automatically there for me. So, I mean, how cool is that? So by doing that, again, I could put 1, 2, I mean, how many ever images I have in that series, I could just run this through, and now I have all of them looking consistent all the way through, and now I have my own series. How was that,
Pretty
Angela?
awesome. I like it.
Yep. Because of that mess up, I went through and I was like, I know I can do better. And so I went back through, and there you have it.
Very nice. And I like the black background. It was a nice touch.
And I also, and I'm trying to look for it right now, and I don't think I put it in here. What I ended up doing is, I actually did. Well, let me share my screen again. So
right.
once I did that, Angela, here we go. Then I got kind of crazy at night. Yeah, in all my spare time. Here's the white one that we talked about. There's the template, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I looked up PPA. So Photoshop Club of Professional Photographers of America. They always have their print competitions, and I thought, oh man, I have an idea. What if people wanted to do their print competitions? Here's one way of doing it. So this is still the 24. I believe this is 24 by 16. So, and then here's the same one in black. I like the black one. But this will get your images ready for a print competition. So for those people that are doing prints, they can use this, once they get their image done, they just hit the one little action inside Photoshop, it runs out, creates all of this for them, puts the special Luminar look to it, puts it back out, you print it, and you're done.
Pretty cool. That smart object workflow is it's amazing what it can do.
Awesome. So, what's happening next week?
Next week, well, we've got the Luminar Live on the 10th. We have some new episodes.
Big one. What is it?
Really big one.
Yep, we have the 10th coming up. And then we're in preparation for the launch. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you. we're in
I don't want to get too excited about the 10th because most people are still going to get it on the 15th. But if you're one of the first 30,000 people who purchased, you actually get it on the 10th. So next week, for some people, it's a really big deal.
Yep. And so by that time, what do we have to have done for everyone by the 10th?
A massive user guide.
We have this
with
incredible
images and all sorts of great screenshots and wonderful write-ups to help you navigate through the software.
Well, and actually, the goal is simple. The way they designed Luminar is so intuitive that you shouldn't have to check out the user guide and things like that. But if something isn't working the way you think it should be working, that's when you go out to the user guide, and it's built right into the program. You just go to the help menu, user guide, there it is. But the whole purpose of the user guide now is so you shouldn't have to call support. If we do our jobs right, you'll be able to look at image and stuff on the user guide, and then when things start to come up, let's say activation, how do I activate my Luminar? When that stuff comes up, and let's say support is telling us, hey, a lot of people are having issues with activating their Luminar, we'll create videos and slip that right into the user guide. So it's a living, breathing document that can be changed on the fly. So that's why I'm all excited.
And just kind of a note on that, if you're having trouble activating your software, which means you're having trouble getting into the software, you'll also be able to access the user guide on our website. You don't have to launch the software first to get to it from the help menu, but that is an option.
Awesome. Ken says, Ken's all excited, or Ralph's all excited. He said he purchased early, so he's excited that that he's gonna get it on the 10th. He said he feels like a hyper little kid at Christmas.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome. Luminar, here we go. Luminar AI, is it ready? Okay. Does it have print options? Very, very basic. And me personally, if you're going to do any major printing, if you're not going to set it out, if you're going to do it in studio, I've always found it best to use the printing software that came with my printer to do that. Or if you have Photoshop, this is where Photoshop comes in. But as for printing, well, then again, I'm used to the large format printers that they sent me. I had to use their software because there was a lot of extra things in there that made it tweaked it a little bit better. So that's an option. Inside Luminar, it's a very simple print. It's not robust, and that's not what it's meant for.
Yeah, right? It uses your built-in operating system's print dialog. So wherever you're printing from, it's going to look pretty much the same. There's not any extra options.
Gotcha.
Your printer software is a great way to do it.
Yeah, Pat mentioned if you ordered on 9/4, are you in for the early bird? I believe so.
I think so. There's an article over on Insiders I can check. Give me a second and I'll go look that up.
All right. Awesome. Well, great. Now, typically we're in a Zoom meeting like this, and it's neat because then we could do live talks back and forth. And we do have those. Those are hosted on Luminar Insiders. Now, just out of curiosity, and we have to double check on this, people who purchase it after next week, do they get access to Luminar Insider also?
I know we're going to be opening it up to everybody at some point. I'm not sure when that is.
Yeah, I know. There's like 20-something thousand in there now.
Yeah, actually, I think quite a bit more than that. I think we've got about 25,000 active members.
Wow.
So it's an amazing, amazing group. So we look forward to welcoming you there whenever we're allowed to do so. If you purchase before September 30th, you'll get Luminar AI on the 10th. If you purchase after September 30th, you're going to get it on the 15th.
So hopefully that answers your question on that one. Great. And then Izzy Film, how is the performance? Angela, how do you feel the performances with AI?
It's been great. But I also have a pretty beefy machine, so I'm not going to tell you that it's going to run on an older, low-powered machine really smoothly. I can't say for sure, but it's supposed to. It's been optimized really, really well, and I haven't had any issues.
Yeah, knock on wood. We've been doing, how many episodes is this already?
Oh, I can find that out for you too. Give me a second.
A guesstimate would be good, but I mean, I know
I'm not good
it's
with
more than
estimates.
16.
I'm totally off with estimates.
No problem. But since all the episodes we've had, here she's gonna come up
22.
with it. 22. My son's lacrosse number. All right, so 22 episodes. How many live ones? How many times Luminar crashed for you live?
I think only once.
Yeah, knock on wood.
And that was an earlier beta, much earlier beta.
Yeah, on mine it had. And remember, we were working with the betas, so I'm excited to answer your question. The speed of it is much faster, and I'm on a Windows machine. She's on a Mac machine, and what I do is I bounce back and forth to a lower end Windows machine to test the performance, and then I go on the higher end machine to test the performance. And this Well, this one has 32 gigs of memory. The other one only has 16. So, and then, 16 gigs. So, if you're at that 8 to 16 gigs, 16 preferably, right? But 8 is minimum, correct?
8 is the absolute minimum. So with 8, what I tell people is Luminar is going to run, but it's not going to be snappy. You want at least 16 or better for the best performance.
Yeah. Now, our good friend Jim Nix, he just updated his computer system. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe how fast Luminar is.
That's awesome.
And that is very important. The graphics card and your memory is going to determine, the speed of it.
The other factor there is having an SSD drive as well. So if you're running your photos, if you're storing your photos on an SSD, whether it's internal or external, that's going to make a difference as well. So the SSD, your RAM, and having, if you have the ability to have a dedicated graphics card, those 3 things are going to make the biggest difference.
Now, interesting you said that, Angela. These images that I worked with today, you know where I pulled them from, right? Dropbox. So I'm actually pulling them offline, and I can't believe I did that, because and a live performance, there's so many things that could go wrong, and the rule of thumb is don't ever do anything that's offline or that's online, because you're at their mercy. So if Dropbox decided to shut down or whatever, you're kind of stuck. But those images I actually pulled from offline, and you still see how fast they were.
Yep. And mine are actually off of Dropbox as well, but I do have it synced up locally. So that helps speed it up. And my internal hard drive is an SSD. So
good. Ralph says you can tell in Jim's video tutorials, you can tell how much faster it is. Is it? So I wonder, Ralph, is it you can tell because you see the speed, or is it because Jim is always smiling and like, whoa, there it is.
Or they just move along so much faster.
Awesome. Good. And Ralph said the same thing. He upgraded from 8 gigs of RAM to 32 gigs recently. Well, that's awesome. All right, Angela,
Nice.
well, thank you so much. And everyone else.
Thank you.
Good. We'll see you on the next coffee break.